let's go ahead and start the stream with the declaration. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Starting the stream just slightly spicy after my a week-long hiatus. Still feel the slightest bit weird streaming, kind of. I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep the pre-stream rant not too large as the last part was to this. So yeah, I took about a week off, and just throughout the week hosted other people on the channel, varying streamers doing different interesting things. I'll say what I said last time I streamed. I hope momentum continues. As far as I can see, not enough has yet been done or accomplished. So I really hope this is unlike other times where the momentum continues. I still see. I was checking social media and other things today, Twitch stuff. People still raising money, which is great. People still protesting, which is great, because like I said, as far as I can see, it's not finished. The fight is not done. As corny as that sounds, it's true. So yeah, spent the week off of my own stream, host different people doing cool things. Mega Ran doing music, which was dope as hell. And hopefully, at least as far as I go, I'm going to be making a more concerted effort to hosting other various streamers on my channel that I think are doing interesting, cool things, and I think deserve slightly better audience, or more of an audience, or just a varied audience. Again, I mentioned this on Twitter when I took basically the week off, and I was like, I don't know how big of a difference just me hosting channels can possibly make, but even if it has the slight possibility of making a slight change or difference, then I think that is a good use of my minuscule platform. So there's that. So yeah, I spent a week off stream, which was fine. It did change a bit scheduling wise, because if you go back to the last part, before I had made the decision where I was like, I'm just gonna take like a week off or something. I had all these intentions of like, before Last of Us Part 2 comes out, let's try to finish up some games. And so I still have the possibility of finishing things. I'm moving my hands a lot as I'm talking through this. I'm trying to do that so that I feel like I'm rushing through and I'm not doing a huge ass long pre-stream thing. But I still think I can obviously finish Destroy All Humans 2. That is either going to be done tomorrow morning, if I'm up for it, if I'm feeling up for it, or next weekend. This, I don't know if we'll be able to finish this. Who fucking knows? I don't know how long this game is. I have no idea. Kind of depends on throughout next week if I come to this. But yeah. Aside from that, I haven't been not playing video games this past week. I've actually, funny enough, had been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake, grinding through to get the platinum. It's not particularly hard. it's more leaning on the time-consuming side of a platinum, because usually platinums are usually either time-consuming or they're really difficult, like skills-wise. And then the really hateful ones combine those two aspects. This was more leaning towards time-consuming. There's some particularly tough fights in hard mode, because I have to beat all chapters in hard mode through chapter select and stuff. And some of these boss fights are really difficult, and you gotta kind of plan chapters out, because in hard mode you can't use items at all throughout the whole chapter, so you can't restore health that way or SP that way. And your SP does not, it looks like, as far as I can see, does not replenish at all until the end of a chapter. So you can't be willy-nilly with your SP, especially for like end of chapter boss fights where you're going to need some SP to do either attacks or mostly healing. So you gotta just kind of plan it all out. I think I've done 9 chapters through hard mode. Like I said, it's mostly time consuming. A couple of hard fights. Fucking Hell House on hard is really difficult. Woo! But I've done it. I don't think I'll have to do it ever again, which is great. And if I can get that platinum off stream before Last of Us Part 2, that would be much appreciated on my own part. But that's obviously not being on stream, so it's whatever. But other than that, maybe a bit of Overwatch here and there I've done off, while I haven't been streaming this past week. But yes, Destroy Humans 2, possibly tomorrow morning, and then possibly we might finish it, get the platinum tomorrow morning, and then we're done with that game. We're ridden of it. I will say at this point now we're basically a day less than 2 weeks from Last of Us Part 2, which I will want to stream that Friday when it comes out, once I'm home from work. I would suggest if you care, you can go see my playthrough of The Last of Us. I did last October, so several months back. It's on the channel. You can go back and watch it. Get ready, I do the DLC as well. It's a nice little tight little series. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this. Who fucking knows? It depends on if I'm good next week after work. If I can keep up and put in like an hour and a half to 2 hours every night of this. Then there's a possibility. Because then we have next weekend as well. And I think I can at least play for like 3 hours here tonight. I think we can probably finish this game. I just gotta, kind of commit to it. But yeah, kind of looking forward to it. I've missed this game for this past week, but like I said, I don't feel bad for not streaming at all this past week and doing other things with my channel. Wow, that's, I've caught up on archives. Those are all caught up. Literally there's nothing in the hopper basically. So we're here. Be completely honest, I've had a slight bit, not only a lot of food in the past couple hours, but also a bit of alcohol. Because alcohol is good. But if I'm reading, I always feel weird, especially in like this game. If I'm like reading, like I have that fear that I'm like slurring a bit or something. So if that happens, this is your warning. And I'm sure another drink or two will probably happen over the course of tonight's stream. So anything else? A good old 10-minute pre-stream. Everything. I gotta catch you up. That's I like the idea of like a pre-stream chat, just getting it all out, word vomit out on stream, record it, and kind of set us up. Like I said, especially since I had this past week off stream, so I hadn't been. I mean, as lame as it sounds, I'll always go back to how I feel like these streams end up kind of being like, not only like a journal for me, but also like the one-sided, pretty much, therapist where I can just kind of get my thoughts out so that they're not 100% just sticking inside me, if that makes sense. And I think that's a benefit of streaming for me. It definitely is. I know it is. I know partly why I stream is for my own benefit. I mean, let's be real. That's me being real with myself. Now, what the fuck was going on in the game? I think we did a lot of Maria stuff. Oh yeah, Maria changed outfits. Her third outfit of the game. Kinda. I guess she was technically wearing one of her outfits underneath the Tama costume. So yeah, I think we must have hit a to be continued here on Maria / Thomas story. So that's 1 of 5 done. A couple keep outs. Asawa hasn't been started. Yeah, keep out on Achi. I think I wanted to jump into Achi's story, and I think there's someone, and Kano hasn't been started. So Kano and Asawa not started, and I'd rather not start into them if I can help it. Norikawa has a keep out. Achi has a keep out. So who in one? I think there's a jump into one of these. I think this is Achi. Yeah. I believe I can jump into Achi's continuation of the story here, where I ditch him or something. I pressed the wrong button. It's been a week and I forget what buttons are buttons. Oh, look at Maria smiling there, and Achi all fucking intense. Here we go. Yeah. Let's continue. Achi took the escalator down to the 3rd floor, and there was Hitomi, standing right in the open, after he'd been searching for her high and low. There you are. I thought we were going to meet on the 2nd floor, Achi said. She stared back at him in confusion. Ah, well, anyway, come on, we have to go hide. Hide? Why? She gave him a dubious look. Dubious. Achi felt like something was off, but now wasn't the time to dwell on it. Because those guys might have found us, he said. They're outside. He took a hold of Hitomi's hand. Hey, let go, what gives? She quickly yanked her hand away. It storms away. Huh? As Achi tried to make sense of the way she was acting, she took off down the corridor. Hey, Hitomi! He hurried after her. It was like changing her clothes had also changed her personality. Alright, I'm gonna be completely honest. If I'm Achi, and she's acting so strange, don't you think he would... I mean, we've established Achi is dumb, so maybe that's the out here, and where he's not piecing it together. But I'm saying if you inserted me in Achi's story here, I'm immediately like, hey, we know there's another person that looks like Hitomi. She has a twin. A fraternal twin that just so happens to look like her, apparently. So I would easily probably be like, wait, if she doesn't recognize me or she's acting like she doesn't know who I am or being weird, I'm gonna be like, what would be the reason? And then immediately probably put that together. But Achi's dumb, so I guess it's not his fault. Still, he couldn't just leave her alone. The kidnappers might well be closing in. He stayed in pursuit of her, trying not to draw too much attention. He headed in the direction Hitomi had gone and came to a stairwell. What the hell is going on? Had she gone up or down? Achi frowned in consternation. Hey, stop right there! He heard shouting coming from down below. Then came the sound of footsteps rushing up the stairs. Hitomi? Was someone chasing her? Achi bolted down the stairs before he could mull it over too much. Whoa. Down on the landing, he ran into a man who was pale in the face. You gotta help me! The man went and cowered behind Achi. Oh shit, two thuggish-looking men came up the stairs after him. Hand him over, kid. Yeah, don't make us do nothing we'll both regret. Two guys bullying some frail old man? Achi huffed. And you want me to just turn a blind eye while that goes down? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. The younger fellow, the one who looked like a small-time gangster, sneered. Oh, you're gonna want to turn a blind eye to this, little man. This is gonna get bloody. By the way, Achi asked, either of you see a girl around here? What a weird thing to ask. Super cute, about Yates. Oh! The gangster suddenly threw a jab with his right fist, and Achi dodged on reflex. The punch wound up catching the man hiding behind him right in the face instead. Oh, whoops. Achi realized his mistake a moment too late. Ooh. The man splayed out onto the floor. Whoa, my bad, Gramps, you okay? Achi hunkered down and slapped the man in the face. Hey, come on, stay with me. It's no use, I'm done for. Please, look after Hana, Mino, Rikawa. The man's muttering was all but incomprehensible. Hey, Achi said, this guy seriously needs to get to a hospital or he's in big trouble. You guys, go call an ambulance, he needs... Oh shit. When Achi looked back, the man in the sunglasses was standing over him, holding up a fire extinguisher. Why wait for an ambulance when the fire department's already here? The butt of the fire extinguisher came right down into Achi's face. Oh no. Smack. But I didn't call for the fire department. Yeah, good job, Achi. Ah, fuck, dude. Number 36, I didn't call for the fire department. While chasing after Hitomi, Achi had a run-in with some Yakuza and got beaten up. But actually, the girl Achi was following wasn't Hitomi. Duh. In order for Achi to avoid this disastrous fate, that girl needs to run off in a different direction. Alright, we can fix this then. So, Maria needs to just change what direction she runs in, apparently. We can do that. To the timeline! Assume it's here then. When I look back though, I see that he's still following me. What do I do? Here we go. For now, maybe I should head to another floor. I hurried toward the bank of elevators. Ping. Oh no. No! His theme is so good. It's like, well, if it isn't Tama, what a coincidence. It's Yanagashita again. I try to walk on by like I don't notice him, but it's already too late. Huh? Hey, where'd your boyfriend go? Boyfriend? I have no clue what he's talking about. Anyway, perfect timing. Can you give me back that magazine? Nothing you're saying is making any sense. I peered him in confusion. Once again, Yanagashita looks like he might start to cry. Don't tease me like this. I did give it to you, right? No, you didn't give me anything. I get it. You wanted that 100,000 yen all to yourself. So now you're playing dumb, is that it? No, I honestly have no idea what this is all about. But now he's all worked up and getting red in the face. Look, you might have amnesia. That excuse ain't gonna fly with me. Amnesia has nothing to do with it. He doesn't seem to want to believe me, no matter what I say. Nice face. Come on, hurry up and just give it back. Otherwise, I'm gonna start bawling here real loud. He's going to cry? Seriously? This guy's a real piece of work. Well, what's it gonna be? You're gonna make a grown man cry? It would certainly be pretty embarrassing if he starts sobbing now. But I can't exactly give him back a magazine I never had. Oh, fuck, it's the fucking dudes. These gangsters are just omnipresent. The elevator doors open. Well, if it isn't our little entrepreneur, we've been looking for you. It's the two thugs from before, and there's no avoiding them this time. Asao, Ozu, and his underling, Yutaru Sagawa. Members of the Tenryu Gumi Yakuza Syndicate. Ozu is quite frightening when angry. His nickname, there's that slurring, is Ozu the Ogre. But despite his strong emotions, he is very logic-driven. Sagawa is the archetype... Let me try that again. Sagawa is the archetypical punk archetypical punk who likes to get into scuffles, but he's also a really good cook. What a nice little fact there. Yes. Yipes! The men drag Mr. Yanagashita into the elevator. Save me, Tama! He grabs hold of my hand. Hey, let go of me! Great, now I'm in the elevator too, and the doors are shutting. I really love this, like, pirate shanty whistling, flute music. Now then, Mr. Yanagashita, says the bald-headed man, there's nowhere else to run. His tone is polite, but also pretty foreboding. Whoa, whoa, wait, just hold on. I can get you the money. I'm just about to get loads of it. Enough of your poppycock, snarls the younger guy. Balderdash, claptrap, straight up nonsense, taken from the Dutch poppycock, meaning soft dung. Huh. Interesting. I really mean it this time. Please, you have to believe me. I can pay you 100,000 right now. 100,000? You really carrying around that much? Asked the bald man. No, not me, the girl. Yeah, throw Maria under the bus. The men turned to eye me in unison. She's just standing there. She's holding on to something that's worth 100,000 yen. What? The sudden turn in the conversation has me all flustered. Tama, please, Yanagashita says. Just hand it over. I already told you, I don't know what you're talking about. The elevator stops at the first floor, and the doors open. No! Standing on the other side of the door is the guy I ran into earlier, Hana's father. The bald-headed man snarls. Toyama! Ha! I'll just get the next one. Smart. Hana's father bolts like a startled hare. The bald man and his crony stare after him. Now's my chance, Yanagashita hisses. He darts out of the elevator and makes a run for it. Hey, after him, shouts the bald man. After who? Him or him? Just start with Toyama. The two thugs race after Hana's father. They've left me all by myself. I'm worried enough to think about going after them, but before too long I've lost sight of them all. For a long time, just I stand there. It's a weird way of sentencing that. Dumbfounded, like a hurricane victim lingering in the aftermath. Ugh. What a day this has been. When I finally get my wits about me, I realize I'm pretty hungry. That's right, I didn't get to eat lunch. I head for the fourth floor, where the restaurants are. And I assume that's where it breaks, where I could go back to Achi's story. Let's say... Nope, it wants me to keep going. Since I really don't want to run into Yanagashita and those other guys again, I decide to take the escalator. As I'm riding it up, I hear a commotion coming from the floor below. It's a man's voice shouting angrily, "Out of my way, come on!" I pay the outburst no heed and let the escalator take me up. Okay, I assume that's where it breaks into the rest of the thing. Yes, okay, so now Achi should be good to continue. Let's go! Achi took the escalator down to the third floor, and there was Hitomi standing right in the open, after he'd been searching for her high and low. "There you are. I thought you were going to meet on this, I thought we were going to meet on the second floor," Achi said. She stared back at him in confusion. "Ah, well, anyway, come on, we have to go hide." "Hide? Why?" She gave him a dubious look. Achi felt like something was off, but now wasn't the time to dwell on it. "Because those guys might have found us," he said. "They're outside." She took hold of Hitomi's hand. "Hey, let go. What gives?" She quickly yanked her hand away. And sternly walks away again. "Huh?" As Achi tried to make sense of the way she was acting, she took off down the corridor. "Hey, Hitomi!" He hurried after her. It was like changing her clothes had also changed her personality. Dumb Achi. Still, he couldn't just leave her alone. Kidnappers might well be closing in. He stayed in pursuit of her, trying not to draw too much attention. He lost track of her somewhere near the elevators. Ugh, what is her deal? Unsure of what else he should do, he headed back down to their rendezvous point on the second floor. When he arrived, he spotted Hitomi heading down the escalator ahead of him. "Hitomi!" Achi shouted, but his voice vanished into the noise of the crowd, and she disappeared onto the first floor. Damn it. Achi rushed down the escalator. He took the steps, 2, 3, 5 at a time. He made it to the first floor and looked around. There was Hitomi, about to take a different escalator back up. Why is she doing this? He waved his arms to get her attention, but she didn't notice and headed right back up. Down, up, what the heck is she thinking? Achi sped around and got on the upward escalator. Out of my way, come on! He shoved people aside as he ran up the moving stairs. It's my running, panting noise. Gets to make a reappearance in this game. But he saw no sign of Hitomi when he reached the second floor. He'd lost track of her completely. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. Achi's shoulder slumped. Wonder if he'll ever realize it's not Hitomi. Or how late into the game he'll realize. If at all. He felt exhausted, but he kept up his search, scouring one floor after another until eventually he made it down on the second basement level. Had she grown too impatient waiting for Kanan and gone off searching for the blue minivan again? I think I can handle myself from here. He thought back to what Hitomi had said earlier. Smack. Damn it, she's not gonna be okay by herself. He pounded his fist into the wall in frustration. Please, stop. That was Hitomi's voice. Hitomi? Hitomi, I mean! It's not really a question. Achi moved faster than he could think. It's the fucking... These two Yakuza goons. Literally every part of this hour here. Achi. Or no, it's more like Achi, she called back. I don't like this visual going on right here. I don't like this whole thing happening. Bad vibes. A pair of thugs had grabbed her by both arms. Achi stomped his way towards them. "Get your hands off her," he shouted. "Huh? What's to you, pal?" The older of the two, a middle-aged fellow, turned to Achi with a sneer. He looked familiar somehow. Yeah, it's the dude back in like the first hour that you helped directions. Wise, Hitomi shook herself free of the men and ran over to Achi. "It's no use trying to act tough, buddy. We're just trying to get back what we're owed. Don't make us have to get rough with you." Goons. What? I do think it's the alcohol is making me like misinterpret like tones in the reading so far. It's rough. But I digress. "What are you owed? Tomi, do you owe people money?" "No, I don't. They just came after me and started going on about 2 million yen. She looked just as baffled by the situation as Achi was. "If you're gonna blame someone, blame your boss," the old man said. He gestured to his lackey. A feral gleam flashed in the young punk's eyes. It was the look of a man who couldn't resist dishing out a beatdown. "Oh, hey, Dis. What's up?" He brought up his fists and shifted his feet, shadowboxing a few quick jabs with his left hand. Shit, shadowboxing, man. It looked to Achi like the guy was an experienced boxer. "Hold on," Tomi said. "What do you mean, my boss?" "Say what? Yanagashita, who the hell do you think?" The young punk shuffled closer, fist still menacing. Oh, I didn't think it was deceptive or anything. I saw that it was labeled art, and then I was like, when I went into it, it wasn't like I was like, oh, I've been duped. Like, it was fun. I just couldn't. I wasn't able to hang around because it was just I wanted to pop in because it's slightly earlier than what I was used to your streams, and I was like, oh, I'm not asleep. So I wanted to at least pop in. But then also knew that I was going to finally come back. And so I had to set up for my own thing. So I didn't think it was like, you didn't trick me. Yeah, I think right before I had left out or jumped out, you had said that you had something going on, I think, in a bit, which would explain, which would make sense, I think, is what you'd said, unless I misheard. But I think you said you had plans, so. Then his expression changed. Hey, oh Jesus, hold on. Are you Achi Endo? Yeah, that's right. Haha, well, ain't that lucky, getting to throw down with you like this? Punk sounded pleased indeed. I've heard all sorts of rumors about you, you know. Let's see how true they are. Achi didn't like his chances in a straight-up fight with the trained boxer. What should he do? What should he do indeed? Ooh. Fuck it. He had to go for broke. His best chance was to hope for an opening to deliver a low kick. A kick using the front, foot or shin to strike the opponent in the thigh just above the knee. In karate, this is known as Giden Mawashi Geri. Sure, since the legs are longer than the arms, this is an effective technique against boxers. Understandable, he'd need to time it perfectly when his opponent took a step forward. Huh! With a loud breath, Thug shot out his left arm. Now! Achi shifted his stance and unleashed a low kick. Suddenly, the elevator doors opened right nearby. Achi and the punk both stopped in mid-attack. A miserable-looking older man stood in the elevator. At the sight of him, the punk's face went red with rage. You! Toyama! Going up? The man in the elevator hurriedly closed the doors. The two thugs rushed toward him, but the elevator had already begun heading back upward. I love how this game is literally basically just about main characters and side characters and everything just running into each other. Like, that is... And I don't know if that's, like, some kind of, like, weird commentary on just, like... The whole aspect of this game is... It's 428 Shibuya Scramble. It's the... I guess which they call the scramble of just the large crowd of people. And I guess... I don't know if it's some kind of, like... commentary of like, oh, you're bound to run into people that you have these intertwining stories with and yada yada yada, but like, I don't know if any of that made sense. But it's just funny how this game's narrative is just moved along by like characters just kind of like accidentally running into each other and then being like, oh, it's like the short little interactions between them. I like it. Come on, after it, the older man shouted. The young punk raced up the stairs. You stay right where you are, the older fellow added, glaring at Hitomi. Then he followed after his lackey. Yeah, I'm sure she would just want to just chill, wait for you to come back and harass her again. Does he really think we're dumb enough to just wait here? Achi scoffed. Achi, I've been looking all over for you. Hitomi gave him an angry swat on the chest. For me? What are you talking about? Is this where where Achi finally puts two and two together and realizes that it's two different people? It's the two sisters. Will his 3 brain cells be able to rub together to piece the mystery? You weren't waiting where you said you would be. Yeah, because you went up to another floor. Like, if he just put it together and he was like, wait, Hitomi, I saw someone that looked just like you and you were acting like they didn't know me. Because Hitomi would be able to put it together. If he just said, she's not dumb, he's dumb. With their combined brain power, the mystery should be solved. What do you mean? I went right where you said, on the 2nd floor. Huh? This wasn't quite adding up. The 2nd floor? What are you talking about? You went up to the 3rd floor. No, I didn't. Wait, what? None of this makes any sense. Achi felt like his brain was getting scrambled. Fucking Achi, dude. Well, anyway, at least I found you safe and sound. Yeah. The two smiled at one another. No touching moment here. What's with those clothes? Tomi's new outfit was completely different from the clothes she'd had on earlier. No, Achi, no! 2 different people. I tried on a few things, but wound up deciding on this. Oh wait, no, she did, I guess, technically change clothes, that's right. But he's also probably thinking about the old clothes he saw Maria in. You tried other stuff on? Ah, okay, that explains it, Achi said. At least now things sorta made sense. No! That's nice, you know. What is? Your clothes, I mean, they look good on you. Thank you. Huh. Wow, I'm actually blushing now. Kinda made me blush to say it. Yeah, no worries. Achi and Tomi shyly avoided each other's eyes. Oh, what a couple. I'm gonna just come out and say it. Achi's too dumb for her. I harshly judge stupid people. Oh, I'm so bitter. Oh, so hey, Achi said, eager to change the subject. Do you still have that magazine? Oh, right, yeah. I was going to just throw it away, but I couldn't. How come? Haven't been able to find the right kind of receptacle. Newspapers and magazines are supposed to be kept separate from normal trash, right? Hitomi scanned their surroundings for a suitable bin. Ooh. Going right to Achi's recyclable, heart She's very recyclable conscious. Wait, are you serious? Yeah. You're thinking about proper recycling now of all times? Is that weird? Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I think you might just be perfect. Oh my god. Achi found himself blushing even harder now. This fucking... Tama! A sudden yell snapped out from his out of his embarrassment. I gotta say, fucking brilliant on the writing of this game, of this story, to have not only have a plot where you have two twins and certain characters think when they see someone who looks like that person to like be like, oh, this person's this person, like good, but then the second layer to that is that the people like Mr. Yanagashita, who sees Maria slash Tama slash Hitomi and calls that person Tama, because if he was to be like, oh, Maria, then it would be like a completely different story. So it's smart that he only knows, like Mr. Yanagashita only knows that person as Tama. Smart stuff. Good stuff. The sketchy-looking fellow who'd given her the magazine was scampering down the stairs toward them. Great, Achi said. The weirdo's back. The man ignored him, though. He leaned in close to Hitomi. Ah-ha-ha-ha! You do still have it! He snatched the magazine from Hitomi's hands. Yes, this one hasn't been scratched off yet. The man hunkered down on the floor and began scratching away at a scratch card stapled into the centerfold. Wait! Don't let him have that! Another man came swooping out of nowhere and yanked the magazine away. It was the older fellow who'd appeared in the elevator minutes before. You can't do that, that's mine! The sketchy-looking man clutched at the older newcomer. Let go! No way! I said let go! And I said no way! The two were fighting right in front of the exit, keeping Achi and Hitomi from leaving. How do you like this? The older man shouted, scratching away haphazardly at the ticket. Now it's just a worthless scrap of paper. Ah, my 100,000 yen! You mean my 100,000 yen? Ha 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 ha! Then the middle-aged fellow looked back down at the ticket. Gah! What are the odds? Somehow, in his random scratching, he'd happened to land himself a winner. Give it! No way! The two men took off engaged in a running battle for the ticket. What was the deal with those two? I'm not sure. Achi and Hitomi could only stand there dumbfounded. On the other hand, hey, look at the time, it's almost 3. This is just too much hecticness. I need to go back to... I need like a palate cleanser. I was trying to combine those two words. I need like a palate cleanser of like more serious story. I need like Asawa stat. The two headed hurriedly for the Gigo back entrance. Gigo. But just as they were nearing the doors, the shutters dropped down in front of them. Whoa, what gives? Due to maintenance, all entrances other than the main entrance on the first floor have been closed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Customers wishing to leave, please use the main entrance on the first floor. Achi glared at the loudspeaker. It looked like there was no exit through the back after all. I've got a really bad preposition about this. That's the wrong word. You mean premonition? Hitomi had gotten quicker to butt in with your corrections. They're such a cute couple. Holding on to their premonitions, then, the two hurried their way up the stairwell. Jijo. As Hitomi tried to head out the first floor entryway, Achi yanked her back. Careful. What's the matter? It's that guy. Huh? Hitomi's expression stiffened. Ah, shit. Cane guy. Slipping behind a nearby pillar, Achi pointed to the man with the cane, who was keenly eyeing shoppers as they came and went. Well, this bites. No way we're getting out of, with him there. Achi, Hitomi whispered in his ear. Behind us. Oh my god, just goons everywhere. Achi glanced back and saw the two goons. Oh, yep, goons walking in their directions. Uh-oh. If those two caused a scene like before, the assassin would notice them for sure. Aha! The younger punk had spotted them. Damn it, Achi thought, gritting his teeth. Who is that other guy? Like, peering from that thing? Beep! Beep! Sure, we'll go with that noise. But the thuggish pair let out a teensy squeak, and then darted off in a different direction, vanishing from view. Are they afraid of the cane man? What the heck? Achi and Hitomi watched them go, unsure what to make of the sudden retreat. Well, anyway, Achi said after a moment, now we can try to find another way out. Taking Hitomi by the hand, he headed back into the shopping area. The back entrance on the first floor, that was a no-go. The other emergency exits were also locked down, which meant that the main entrance on the first floor really was the only choke point. I told you at the top of the stream, the alcohol is going to take a hit. On my reading ability at some point, was the only choke point in or out. It was almost time for them to meet Kanan. They needed to find some way to bust out of here. The pair headed back toward the main entrance. Then they saw the man with the cane again, heading in their direction. He hadn't seen them yet, but there was no way they'd avoid him if they didn't do something quick. Guess for now we gotta go up, Achi said to Hitomi. I don't get why they don't just confront him. Like, what is he gonna do in such a crowded space? Is he gonna, like, shoot them in the open? Like, the problems arise when he corners them and there's no one around. If it's in such a crowded thing, just go to the dude towards him and he's hobbled. Take him out. Run away then. Like, I don't get. Whatever. They started racing up the nearest escalator, which was descending from above. My bad, coming through. Sorry, please excuse us. They fought and shoved their way past a stream of people riding in the other direction. They could see the second floor now. Achi figured they'd be in the clear once they got there. But then a large woman... Why has this game got to do that? But then a large woman appeared at the top of the escalator heading down. She was the one who'd been in the Chinese restaurant on the fourth floor. The one who'd supposedly packed an entire buffet into her belly. She was... Oh my god. Oh, she was wide enough that Achi and Hitomi would never be able to slip past her. What the fuck does that mean? Come on! What are you talking about? She's too wide that they could just pass her on the escalator. Bruh. Okay, hey, out of the way, Achi shouted, but the young woman ignored him. No. Achi tried to push past, but he just bounced off her. What the fuck? She's not even that large. I was gonna say rotund. They were drifting inevitably back down toward the first floor. It was like they were riding a conveyor belt that was delivering them right to the assassin. One angle. This was not good. If they didn't do something soon, they'd... Wait a sec. Something must have caught the assassin's eye. Achi saw him suddenly rush outside. There was no telling what had just happened, but now there was a chance to escape. Achi and Notomi raced out the door. Fuck happened? Outside, the man with the cane was nowhere to be seen. Looks like we're safe. Achi let out a sigh. For now, someone said, keep your eyes open. It's Kanan! The sudden words made the two turn with a start. Turn with a start? I'm so interested in this character. This Kanan character. Or how I'm pronouncing it as Kanan. It might be Kanan, but I don't like saying that. Kanan was standing right behind them. She'd gotten this close, and neither of them had noticed a thing. She's mysterious. She moved with all the skill of an assassin. Achi felt a chill shoot through him. Oh, fucking of course. Hitting me with that to be continued. It's fine though. I understand. So that leaves us 2 stories. 2 clean storylines here. Well, no. And then this like half thing of Minorikawa that someone's gonna be able to, I would assume either Kano or Asawa can jump into to keep it going. Now, who do we want to do? Kano or Asawa? I was saying earlier that I needed the seriousness of Asawa after the craziness of the Achi story there. Let's go with Asawa. AKA Hideo Kojima lookalike. Slightly. I do not want others intruding into my domain. Accordingly, I do not intrude on others. That is how I've lived my life. That is how I've forged my sense of calm. But something has begun to drive me mad. The boundaries between myself and others have started to collapse. Excuse me? Holy shit. There was that gap in the music and then it startled me again. I've heard this too before. We've had this music in the game and I think I was equally startled before as well. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I will become something other than myself. And that is one thing I fear I could never bear. Oh no, you don't! Kajiwara tackled Tanaka as he strode toward the door. The 2 men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway. Oh yeah, I remember, okay. So, Kajiwara, Asawa, and Tanaka, the 3 main players really in this storyline. Tanaka, right-hand man to Asawa, Kajiwara, outside detective trying to handle the case. At the end of the hour before, they made it seem like Tanaka had a bug implant on him, and they found out. He ran away, and so now, I guess we're gonna learn if Tanaka's secretly bad. 2 men collapsed in a heap in the front entryway. Hey! Tanaka barked. What are you doing? Hold still. Kajiwara ran his bug tracker over Tanaka's body. This music is... It began beeping loudly. Aha! Kajiwara pulled off Tanaka's necktie clip. It's a listening device. Tanaka's face went pale. Where did you get this? Kajiwara demanded. Well... Tanaka trailed off in silence. I gave it to him. No, shit! It's the other player in this storyline. It's I. The nagging, mean wife of Osawa. It was I who had appeared on the second floor landing. You were listening in? Osawa asked brokenly. Ma'am, Kajiwara said, would you mind explaining this? For once, he seemed deadly serious. For once. Huh. I was barely able to hear a thing. That's what I get for going with something so cheap. I held out a dangling earpiece. When and where did you get that? Earlier today, when I left to do some shopping. And why did you plant a listening device on Mr. Tanaka? Kajiwara asked. That's what I want to know. Tanaka chimed in. Why would you do this, Mrs. Osawa? He was trembling. You were outside emailing someone earlier, weren't you, Mr. Tanaka? I saw you from the window. Emailing? Kajiwara looked into Tanaka's face. Hai nodded. He came back into the house shortly afterward, and I asked him where he'd gone. And what, do you think he said, She was practically gloating. Playing to her little audience, she began stalking down the stairs. He said he'd gone to check on something at the lab, despite the fact that he was out in the yard there fiddling with his phone the whole time. So I figured if I bugged him, he might show his true colors and... Enough! Asawa's had enough. Asawa cut his wife off. Tanaka had been emailing Hitomi, of course, but he couldn't reveal that now. I think I get what happened here, Kajiwara interposed. He folded his arms. Your wife thought that Mr. Tanaka was in contact with the kidnappers, and so she planted a listening device on him. The detective peered at Tanaka. Who are you emailing, sir? Yes, that's right, I chirped. Show us your phone, Mr. Tanaka. Let's see what you were really up to. Big ol' Karen energy here. Or is there some reason you don't want to show us? Sawa started to panic. If the police checked that cell phone, they'd find the emails from Hitomi. And if the kidnappers somehow found out about that, Maria's life would be in danger. But I was still relentlessly advancing on Tanaka. Stop this! Darling? She turned to him in surprise. Tanaka was sending emails on my behalf, Asala said. I asked him to do it. And just who was he emailing? It was... He needed to think of a lie fast. The fuck is Pretty Honey? Sure. It was Pretty Honey. The room went silent. Pretty... Wait, what did you say? Kajiwara asked him after a long, awkward moment. Honey, Asawa replied meekly. My apologies, I didn't quite catch that. One more time? Pretty Honey. Asawa's voice was scarcely audible. Pretty Honey, I asked, sounding ashamed on his behalf. Who's that? Asawa felt his cheeks burning. Asawa, canon, not a good liar. Of all the names he might have chose, why had he picked that one? Who is it, sir? Kajiwara demanded. He regarded Asawa's face keenly. A personal associate of mine. You wouldn't know them. But why ask Tanaka to send the messages? Kajiwara asked. Don't you have a computer in your study? Couldn't you have sent the emails yourself? My computer was having problems sending email. I'm not sure what the issue was. Look, the point is there's no reason to worry about Tanaka's emails. Now I assume we're done here? I need Tanaka to run some errands for me. With that, Asawa opened the front door. Tanaka gave him a quick bow and headed out the door. Hey, wait! I started to go after him. Just calm down, Asawa barred the way. There's no way he's connected to the kidnappers. Can't you see that? His voice cracked, and he shuddered at a sudden rush of emotion. There, sir, Kajiwara said consolingly. She's just deeply worried about your daughter. I turned around and marched back upstairs. I don't think she really cares about the daughters, though. That's the whole point. But still, if she is that worried, Giving a tie clip as a gift seems a bit... Clothing accessory meant to hold one's necktie in place. In the old days, they were a quintessential part of the salaryman's outfit, along with cufflinks and the company badge. Recently, tie clips have come back into vogue, with some older men now more frequently referred to as tie bars. Never seen them being referred to as tie bars. Kajiwara's muttering trailed off. What do you mean? Saul asked. Nothing. Not important. The detective waved a hand dismissively, but there had been a definite note of suspicion in his voice. Well, back to work. Kajiwara headed back into the living room. Asawa returned to his study and sat in front of his computer. He had no desire to be in the presence of the detectives who had now crowded his living room. The Aya Kamiki fan forum for people 40 and over was still open on his monitor. Lovely. He reloaded the page and saw that his earlier thread had gotten a reply. It was from Pretty Honey, a regular contributor to Asawa's threads. So that's where he got the name from. Username, someone who posts regularly on the Aya Kamiki fan forum, seems to know a lot about agriculture and the police, as evidenced by statements such as, if the world were a farm with 100 people, as well as a tendency to post to another site called the 87th Precinct Telecommunity. Incidentally, Shinya Kano's girlfriend, Rumi, also posts to the 87th Precinct Telecommunity from time to time. She has had several massive arguments with Pretty Honey there, the latter criticizing the police for not doing their job, while Rumi insists that police work is very different and deserves more credit. I assume we wouldn't even... Yeah, because we haven't even started Kano's stories. It's not needed. I'm opposed to the idea of Aya Kamiki expanding into America. Emoticon thing. I like that. The arms going like this. Obviously I don't have a face cam or anything, but doing this. Yelling, screaming from the rooftops. She should be able to enjoy the success she's earned in Japan without having to struggle overseas. Another face. Aya has done so much for us. I'd like her to keep supporting Japan forever. Every sentence. The message was festooned with the sort of emoticons that a young girl might use. Pretty Honey claimed to be a 19-year-old female college student, but we know that's not true, right? I mean, isn't the fan form supposed to be 40 and over? Weird. Although the community was meant for Aya Kamiki fans 40 and over, exactly, the settings allowed anyone to post there. The only young woman among the members, however, was Pretty Honey. The thread continued. By the way, have you tried the Aya fortune teller yet? There's a link below. Fortune telling, huh? Oh, we get a video in this one. Alright, we'll read first. The practice of determining a person's future luck or life events using cards, horoscopes, and or other methods of divination. Divination, yes. Most people believe such prognostication when it foretells something good, and don't believe it when the outlook is bad. It's about as much faith in fortune telling as someone should have. Okay. Will it say something else? No. I was a fool to think I'd get something else. Asawa stared. Should he ask it whether Maria was safe? If he gave him a good answer, he'd believe it. If it were a bad answer, he wouldn't. Might be worth a shot just for the peace of mind it'd bring. He clicked the link, and his computer got a million viruses, and the Eye of Fortune Teller page came up. It asked you to enter your birth date and sex, and then Ayakamiki would offer her advice. Asawa followed the instructions, entering his date of birth, selecting male, and then clicking next. A few seconds later, his fortune was displayed. You're a very work-minded person. He'd hoped for some insight on Maria, but instead it was just a write-up about his personality. You'd never be able to get by without the devoted support of those around you, but you probably don't realize that, do you? It's a big mistake to think you can get through all of life's challenges on your own. There's nothing cool about being ignorant. That's a sentence. If you don't get over your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. Almost didn't say that. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. Just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Famous people who got your result. Shinosuke Orarai, the head of the Wandering Angels Theater Troupe. He has an interview appointment with Minoru Minorikawa at 2:30 this afternoon. We're familiar. Asawa couldn't help but feel that the advice was painfully appropriate. He went back to the form and replied to Pretty Honey. It's the face of a very sad man. Nice to hear from you again, Pretty Honey. I definitely know how you feel about Ayakamiki being ours. Still, I'm confident she's got what it takes to persevere and succeed in America. And if she does fail, well, all of us in Japan will be here to welcome her back all the same. Guess this voyage to America I've concocted just has me a little worked up. Asawa clicked post and leaned back in his chair. Mr. Asawa! Mr. Asawa! It was Kajiwara, shouting from outside the door. First the toilet, then lunch. What is it now? There's been a development in the case. Please join us in the living room. We have important matters to discuss. Kajiwara had his detective face on. That's good that you have your detective face here. Oh, God. When Asawa entered the living room, I was already there, looking stern and solemn. Now that you're both here, Kajiwara said, allow me to share what we know. We've identified a location that appears to be the Syndicate's hideout. You have? What about Maria? Is she there? Asawa exclaimed. We still haven't been able to ascertain whether your daughter is safe. Well then, what were these important matters you needed to discuss? Asawa felt a wave of anxiety rush through him. The hideout in question is a condominium in Hiru? And it's owned by... Who is it owned by? By whom? Mr. Asawa, please calm down. Tell me! Go on, out with it! Kajiwara took a deep breath. The residence is owned by Mamoru Tanaka. Da-da-da-da! Asawa was speechless. He couldn't process what he was hearing. Tanaka? Lies! I shrieked. Just what are you implying? That Mr. Tanaka is the kidnapper? What's your proof? With all due respect, ma'am, weren't you suspicious of Mr. Tanaka yourself? Well, I suppose, but you did go so far as to stick a listening device on him. Flustered, I withdrew into a vacant silence. The sudden ringing of the phone startled everyone in the room. Was that Tanaka? No, it couldn't be. There was no way. The phone was wiretapped. The detective wearing the headset nodded to Kajiwara, who in turn motioned for Asawa to pick up. Hello? He said cautiously. Ah, hello. Is this the home of Maria Asawa? The voice was not Tanaka's. Asawa didn't recognize it, but the veil of despair that hung before him thinned slightly. Is this the home of Hitomi Asawa? This time the man on the phone used Hitomi's name instead. Yes, that's right. That's eerie. I would be shitting bricks if spooky. The caller immediately hung up. As Asawa stood there, dumbstruck, Kajiwara gently took the receiver and hung up the phone. One of the detectives addressed Kajiwara. We traced the source of the call to a cell phone. Also, we pinpointed the base station used. Inform Director Kuze so we can prepare a team just in case. Just in case? Asawa asked. Focus, Austin. Focus on reading. Here we go. What do you mean by that? Kajiwara frowned slightly. Just because this is a kidnapping case doesn't mean that every phone call comes from the kidnapper. We'll look into it, of course, but... Ah, I see. Besides, right now, confirming Mr. Tanaka's whereabouts takes priority. Don't you agree? Asawa nodded. Someone should call him, the detective added. I'll do it. I got out her cell phone and dialed up Tanaka. Where was Mr. Tanaka headed? Kajiwara asked. He eyed Asawa keenly. I don't actually know. Even leaving out the part about Hitomi, that was still the truth. If Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, Asawa knew he ought to tell the police about the blue minivan and the emails from his daughter. But part of him still trusted Tanaka deep down, and he couldn't bring himself to reveal it all. We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium, Kajiwara said. Let's wait for them to report in. We have investigators en route to Tanaka's condominium, Kajiwara said. Let's wait for them to report in. Wait. Did it repeat that line? Yeah. It did. That's weird. Thought I was fucking going insane there for a second. On the far side of the room, I was squawking in frustration. Despite several attempts, she hadn't been able to get through to Tanaka. Kajiwara's phone rang and he pulled it from his pocket. Kano? What's going on? He headed into one corner as he spoke into the receiver. I suppose that'd be alright. What for, though? After a few more quiet words, Kajiwara held his phone out to Asawa. One of the investigators on the scene would like to speak with you. Frowning in confusion, Asawa took hold of the phone. Asawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. There was a pause as the speaker took a deep breath before continuing. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? What? Asawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. Ah, what are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret, so how did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? It's another jump to Kano. Asawa was bewildered. Bewildered, I tell you. I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Asawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. Yes, just feign ignorance. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Asawa. Asawa's mind went blank when he heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Asawa? The detective continued after a moment. Is everything alright? Without really thinking, Asawa hung up. Panic hang up. They were after the virus. Do you mean that the virus kept at the lab? Wait, hold on. The detective had to be wrong about that. The kidnappers must have the virus already. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had to do what I did to Hitomi. Do not look away. These are your crimes. Spooky. At last, Asawa understood what those emails from A were all about. They were a preview of the tragedy that was yet to unfold. The kidnappers probably meant to start the main event soon. It might already be too late to stop them. Mr. Asawa? Kajiwara asked. Are you alright? The detective gazed with concern into Asawa's ashen face. Bracing himself, Asawa spoke up, his voice hoarse and dry. A killer virus is about to be unleashed in Tokyo, and I know who's responsible. It's me. The sudden confession caused the detectives on site to stir like a hornet nest. Please, arrest me. Feeling the weight of his crimes crushing down on him, Asawa dropped his gaze to the floor. He held out both his wrists. I'll tell you everything down at the station, he said. Anything you need to know. What? Asawa imagined bodies dropping left and right. There were limits to what might be cured by the small stockpile of antiviral his lab currently contained. If they were unable to quarantine the infected in time, then Shibuya, no, all of Japan might be engulfed in a pandemic that the drug could never stop. Holy shit, we are getting weirdly not topical, but parallel? I don't know what you'd call it. A massive outbreak of a particular infection on a regional or global scale. In 14th century Europe, a massive cholera outbreak is said to have killed 2/3 of the population, and the Spanish flu outbreak in the early 20th century killed at least 25 million people worldwide. Given modern advances in transportation, some researchers are of the opinion that the global risk of a pandemic is higher than ever before. Holy shit! 428 Shibuya Scramble, back in 2008, predicted the coronavirus. You can only hope that his complying with the authorities might help stop the spread of the infection before it's too late. What the fuck? The hell? Guilty conscience. Bad ending number 40. The thought of the virus devastating Japan filled Asawa with despair. Blaming himself, he asked to be arrested. But this only happened because of what Kano said to him. A simple error in word choice led Asawa to a completely wrong conclusion. Kano ought to properly inform Asawa just what the kidnappers are after. Ah, so it's Kano's fault. Of course. Of course. So we'll start into Kano's and look for an option that doesn't upset Asawa. The last untouched man of the hour. Alright, I'm gonna do a quick bathroom break. I'm gonna get a drink of water. I implore you to do the same, and I'll be back in like 2 or 3 minutes here. Alright. Let's see what Kano's up to at this 14th hour. Alright, let me try to remember. He and white dude, what was his fucking name? Stanley or something. Rushed into this room. A bunch of dead looking people abound in the room. And the bad endings, Kano also got stabbed, but we had navigated away from the bad ending. I don't remember exactly what ended. But yeah, it's just a bunch of dead people. We had gotten our first bad ending. I hate how this pops up every time you go into here. Our first bad ending for Asala. It's quite the ending. Okay. Let's continue. Kanan, Kano muttered. What's Kanan? The stench of blood. Gross. Hung heavy in the basement bar. Stanley was silent, staring at the criminal's corpse. Hey, do you know anything about this? Kano asked. Still, Stanley gave no response. The silent treatment again, huh? Kano huffed. The American glanced at him gravely. In all likelihood, the one who did this was acting alone. Alone? Against this many other people? Who on earth? There's no need for you to know. Cut the crap, Kano snapped. He grabbed Stanley by the collar. If there's someone involved in this case who's capable of something like this, I need to know about it. How am I supposed to do my job if you keep me in the dark? Stanley remained stone-faced. Look, I'm not afraid of the risks, Kano said. And I'll be a lot more effective if you at least fill me in on the basics here. The more you know, the sooner you'll wind up dead. Kano tightened his grip. But it's okay if I wind up dead while I'm still in the dark, huh? Fine, Stanley said. I'll answer your first question. He brushed Kano's arm aside. Kanan is the name of the covert operative from the Middle East. In simple terms, a type of spy that infiltrates hostile territory to carry out various clandestine activities. I believe she's the one who killed these people here. The Middle East? A covert operative? Kano hadn't suspected spycraft to be involved with this. Yes, she's an assassin and a cryptanalyst specialist. Cryptanalyst. Not ist. No, cryptanalysis. Whatever, fuck it. Do you recall the mass jailbreak from the Abu Ghraib prison a while back? Abu Ghraib. Why? Ghraib. A prison in Iraq, west of Baghdad, under the Hussein government. It was an internment facility for political prisoners. Following the Iraq War, it was used by the U.S. Army to house prisoners of war. In April 2004, photographs of detainees being tortured by U.S. soldiers were released, causing a massive scandal. President Bush later made the decision to have the facility demolished. Huh. Kanan was the one who provided the intel the escapees used to get out. Kano was at a loss for words. The case was suddenly starting to seem a whole lot more sinister. Whoever this Kanan was, she'd apparently killed nearly a dozen people with only a knife. She was clearly no one to trifle with. Just what kind of individual were they dealing with there? he could scarcely imagine. Once again, Kano surveyed the crime scene. Each of the murdered criminals had had their throat slit. Had had his throat slit. It's been a long week. You just mix a brain dead mind, a bunch of reading, and plenty of alcohol, and you try to say throat slit as throat fit. From the look of the deep, clean cuts, the killer hadn't hesitated in the slightest. Okay, so then what connection does this Kanan have with the mastermind behind this kidnapping? Kanan had killed all of the foreign syndicate members in this bar. Did that mean she and the person behind the kidnapping were enemies? Or perhaps she and the kidnapper were working in concert, and she carried out these slayings as part of some plan to get rid of some loose ends. I believe I said I'd answer one question. What a bitch. Turning away, Stanley picked up a file from atop a nearby table. Apparently he wasn't in the sharing mood. Realizing that further questions would be pointless, Kano peered sidelong at the file as Stanley opened it. Inside was a detailed map of Shibuya. There were various routes marked with arrows and times. That's the plan for the ransom relay. Kano was so excited he blurred his thoughts out loud. It appeared that the ultimate goal for the ransom was a condominium. The condominium. The address and the time 1420 were written in red ink. Kano put in an immediate call to the investigation task force to relay this information. Relay. The final destination is Ground Hill, number 405, in Hiru 534, Shibuya. Alright, Kuze told him. We'll look into who owns the condo in question. You and Stanley head over there now. I'm sending backup to go in with you. You have authorization to apprehend the suspect. Finally hearing the order that he'd so long been waiting for, Kano felt a spark of determination flare inside him. Alright, let's go, he said, some of his excitement slipping into his voice. Stanley, still sullen, closed the file and followed him out of the bar. I still don't trust the Stanley guy. Not in the slightest. Stanley drove along Inokashira Dori toward Hiru, where the finish line for the ransom relay was located. His demeanor was cold and brooding, in sharp contrast with Kano's gung-ho readiness. He seemed lost in some deep and cheerless thought. Kuze's voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Mejidori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's... Kano held his breath in anticipation. The name Kuze spoke caught him by surprise entirely. No! Dang game. It's fine though, we know where that jump is. Should be right here. It's inside this. Yep. Jump! His voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Mejidori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's Mamoru Tanaka. He's a colleague of Kenji Osawa. What? Kano squawked. This was an unexpected twist. Kajiwara confirms that Tanaka left the Osawa residence at just about 1400 hours. No word on his movements since then. It's possible he headed to his private condo, where the Achi case is slated to end up. Any officer who runs across Tanaka is to apprehend him on sight. Kuze cut the connection. This mastermind you've been chasing, Kano asked. Is it Tanaka? Stanley didn't reply. Fine, never mind. I just wish I could know if Tatsuno is safe. Still worried about that traitor, huh? So Stanley could ignore all of his questions, but still remember to make snide remarks. Talking about Tatsuno is the only thing that gets a reaction out of you, isn't it? Kano snorted. Snorted. Snorted? Snorted. What makes you so certain he can't be a traitor? Tatsuno just isn't like that. That's not an answer, Stanley scoffed. Alright, I've watched the man work for years. I know him. He has no reason to betray the Force. You've watched him work, huh? What about his private life, then? You know all about that, too? He hasn't had money trouble or anything like that? Kano felt his blood starting to boil. I don't care what you think, he said. I trust Detective Tatsuno. Trust him? On what basis? I don't need any basis to have faith in someone, Kano snapped. Nice little zoom in here. Without any basis in fact, it's just plain sentimentality, Stanley said. There's no reason or logic to it. A thin smile came to his face. Be they friends or family, you can never really know other people. The only person you can trust is yourself. Lame. Kano had no response for such an emotionless statement. He looked away. He and Stanley were just plain incompatible. It seemed like no amount of talking would let them get through to one another. Never take anything at face value, Kano. You start trusting too much, you're basically as good as dead. Kano just stared out the window. The Shibuya precinct came into view. Tanaka's condo wasn't much further now. They were outside of Tanaka's condo now. Over there, Stanley said, keeping his voice down. What the fuck? Across the street was one of the foreign syndicate members walking briskly, the Achi case clutched at his side. Oh, for a second there in the picture, I thought the bush flower plant thing above the head was like something that person was wearing. It's like, oh, it's a weird headdress. I'm making the arrest. Kano, wait, Stanley exclaimed. Kano heard him loud and clear, but he had no intention of stopping, because fuck Stanley. He approached with the criminal at full speed, then leapt to tackle him around the waist. The two men fell to the pavement in a tangled heap. The collision sent the Achi case flying. Kano's eyes tracked the case for a moment too long. He was caught off guard when the man threw a punch at him. Smack! The blow caught him right in the jaw, snapping his head back. For a moment, Kano saw stars. As he shook off the impact, the man sprang to his feet and sprinted away in the direction of Stanley's car. Stanley! Kano shouted. Grab him! But Stanley ignored the man and instead went for the Achi case. Oh, come on! Really? Kano had no choice but to pursue the perp himself. He hadn't come this far just to let the crooks get away now. Suddenly, the fleeing man skidded to a stop. Oh. Several cars had pulled across the road ahead, and detectives were pouring out of them. His escape route cut off, the criminal resigned himself to capture. While Kano helped make the arrest, several of the other detectives broke into Tanaka's condo. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully inspecting the exterior of the Achi case. He'd already opened it. It was stuffed with bundles of banknotes. The 50 million yen ransom was back in police hands. This is a decoy, the American muttered under his breath. I wonder where... His words trailed off, but Kano had heard them. What did you expect? The detective demanded. Samples of that new drug in there? As usual, Stanley gave no reply. The look on his face, however, told Kano he'd been right on the mark. Some of the backup team emerged from Tanaka's condo. Kano turned to them, feeling a sudden surge of anxiety for Maria. What's the situation in there? He asked. They told him that they'd found no one in Tanaka's rooms. So the hostage's status remained unknown. The main culprit had evaded capture. This case hadn't been solved. In fact, it was still unfolding in the worst way conceivable. And still, Stanley remained focused on the Itachi case, pondering it with a thoughtful expression. Sorry, I lost myself there for a sec. Look, Kano told him, I'm going to request that I be returned to my normal duties. Maria still needs to be rescued, and I still need to find out what happened to Hitomi and Detective Tatsuno. For once, Stanley actually responded. Hitomi? Yes, that's it. It makes perfect sense that they'd have her carry it. Huh? What do you mean? This whole Itachi case relay was a fake out. Whoa, slow down, Kano said, wishing he could calm himself with his words. Explain what you're talking about. Somehow the kidnappers made contact with Kenji Asawa and got him to have Hitomi carry the drug, separate from the ransom. Wait, you're saying they had Hitomi bring them the drug? Stanley nodded. The case handoffs were a sort of camouflage, a way for them to keep the police distracted from the real goal. Kano nodded. It had indeed kept the case relay. It had indeed felt like the case relay was a decoy, an attempt to buy time. If this syndicate were after something else entirely, that would explain why so many of their actions had appeared to make no sense. So, Kano asked, what sort of drug is this? Why would they go to such lengths to get their hands on it? It's an antiviral, Stanley replied after some hesitation. A way to cure people infected with a very particular virus. What virus are we talking about? It's called UA. 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 Kano never heard of it. Still, he could imagine the possibilities. Suppose this was something like the Ebola virus. Ew! Discovered in Sudan in 1976. Infection causes Ebola hemorrhagic fever, resulting in a high fever and massive bleeding throughout the body. At present, there is no vaccine to prevent infection, nor any drug to cure the disease after it manifests. Gross. Or perhaps HIV. Look at that HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus. HIV destroys the cells that are essential for regulating cell-mediated immunity, considerably reducing immune response. This effect can result in infections that would ordinarily be fought off, easily developing into serious illnesses. There are various treatments, but as of yet, nothing that will eradicate the virus completely. Even the all-too-familiar influenza. Oh my god. Ew, look at the influenza! It's 100 nanometers. An infectious disease caused by the influenza virus. Symptoms are similar to that of the common cold, but are much more severe, occasionally resulting in death. There are three main types of the virus, A, B, and C, with A and B causing the typical run of the illness in humans. Neuraminidase is recommended as an effective inhibitor, but this merely alleviates the symptoms and is not a complete cure. There were medicines that could treat all of those diseases, but nothing that could cure them completely. Any drug that could do that would be worth vast sums of money. Kano, do you have any means of getting in touch with Mr. Asawa? Yes, I know one of the detectives stationed at his home. Check in with him ASAP. Find out whether or not he gave the antiviral to Hitomi. Kano suppressed a scowl. It looked like he wasn't done assisting Stanley yet. He got out his cell phone and dialed up Kajiwara. Beep boop beep boop. Beep boop 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 boop. Kajiwara picked up promptly. Kano? What's going on? Could I speak with Mr. Asawa? I suppose that'd be alright. What for, though? There's something I need him to confirm for me. It's an emergency. Alright. Just make sure not to tell him anything about the investigation. Sure thing. Sure thing indeed. After a while, a man's hoarse voice came over the line. Sawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. Kano took a deep breath. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? Asawa let out a gasp. Another keep out. How dare this game do this to me? Made me go back to Asawa's story a second time, just to jump right back into Kano's story here. I mean, I get it. They don't want you to see too much in Kano's story before you see what's happening in Asawa's story, but I've seen it. What? Asawa was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret, so how did some detective... Hiya! Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? Asawa let out a gasp. What are you talking about? I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Asawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. Play dumb. Asawa's voice trembled as he spoke. Kano was sure he hit the nail right on the head. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Asawa. Okay, I know this is the important decision. If I say the virus, that's the bad choice. I think I'm supposed to pick this. I'm all congested now all of a sudden, too. It's terrible. Apologies. Immensely. It's like my terrible voice mixed with copious amounts of alcohol mixed with congestedness, and it's just terrible recipe for reading. It's Hitomi. Asawa remained silent. Mr. Asawa, is everything alright? The line went dead. Guess that answers that well enough, Kano said as he put away his phone. Did I pick the right thing there? I'm just curious. Aha! I did. But we'll go ahead and we'll finish, or at least attempt to finish out Kano's here now that we're here. Now it was clear why the criminals were after Hitomi. He saw an uneasy look on Stanley's face. Something on your mind? Kano asked. Stanley responded with a question of his own. If Hitomi was carrying the antiviral, how were the criminals planning on getting it from her? Kano thought for a moment. Well, taking her by force at the scramble posed too high a risk, he said. There were nearly 100 detectives there, and they must have guessed there would be. That's why they devised the Achi case relay. They wanted to abduct Hitomi somewhere away from the Dragnet's notice. This was the plan that all the signs seemed to suggest. But still, he added, I wonder how they managed to lead her away from the police protection. A look of revelation crossed Stanley's face. All they need to do is convince her to go off on her, or to go of her own accord. Not off of. But how? Kano asked. And then it came to him. He thought back to Tomi's initial contact with Tariq Al-Karawan. Creepy. Just before he'd taken the Achi case from her, the two had a brief conversation. It was possible Al-Karawan had given Hitomi some form of instructions then. Guess we're back at tracking down Al-Karawan again, huh? Kano could tell from the look in Stanley's eyes that he was on the verge of saying something. Probably some remark about how Tatsuno had allowed Al Karawan to run free. Right now, Kano wasn't going to argue with the point. After this case was resolved, he would discover what Tatsuno's real motives were. And once he did, Stanley would eat his words. In the meantime, we can't just wander around looking without any leads, he said. Until we get more intel, let's see what we could do with the security cameras back at the precinct. Whoa, numerous monitors shone down on the pair as they entered the Shibuya precinct's surveillance room. Each showed an array of faces of individuals somewhere in Shibuya. Kano asked one of the operators to pull up Al Karawan's data on screen. Nice fucking turtleneck there. The stats there on the right. It says eyes black. Weird. By selecting each of the faces on the monitors in turn, they could run comparisons to determine if anyone among them was Al Karawan. One by one, the operator made his way through the faces. Assuming their target was still in Shibuya, there was a high likelihood they'd find him. But the minutes ticked past. There was still no sign of him. Kano's tone grew more and more impatient as he directed the operator's search. Just calm down, Stanley said. He set a hand on Kano's shoulder. You keep wasting your energy when you don't need to. That's just how I do things, Kano replied. I'm energetic because I care. He pointed out another face to the operator. Well, you're setting yourself up for a short life. With a sigh, Stanley sank into a nearby chair. My brother was like you. The American spoke so quietly that his words were barely audible. 10 minutes later, a man clad in black appeared on one of the monitors. The operator lined up his cursor. The comparison check confirmed that it was Al Karawan. Yes, Kano hissed, pumping his fist. It appeared that the quarry was simply walking around town, calm and composed. Kano radioed in Al Karawan's location to Kusei. All units, intercept the suspect on the double, Kusei ordered. Kano will provide guidance using the surveillance monitors. They saw Al Karawan stop in front of a cigarette vending machine. Was he waiting for someone? Sasayama reporting, I've got eyes on the Mutt. Mutt, perpetrator, hook, to put someone in cuffs. Dipper, pickpocket, once, outstanding warrants. Hang paper, to write multiple citations. And other such traditional police jargon. Cool. Kano's partner had evidently been nearby. I'm making the arrest, he said. There was a note of courage in Sasayama's voice. He came into view on the monitor, walking casually. Ah, new outfit. New disguise. At some point, he ditched his anime nerd costume for a street dancer's getup. Yeah. Didn't appear that Al Karawan had noticed him yet. Bit by bit, Sasayama closed the distance. Not much further now. Kano's hand balled into a fist as he watched. And then something unexpected happened. Another man came running into view, right in the middle of the monitor. It's Teru Toyama. While searching for Hana at Shibuya Yigo, he was located by a duo of debt collectors and fled the scene. Hana left Yigo to find him and ran into him here in Maru Yamacho. The pair are heading toward Koendori, trying to find a place to hide. There was no sound, but they could see the newcomer was shouting something. As Al Karawan turned to look at the man, Sasayama launched himself like a bullet from a gun. In an instant, Detective and Perp were locked in a violent scuffle right there on the street. Kano swallowed a lump in his throat as he watched the struggle unfold. Earlier in the day, Al Karawan had done a number on Sasayama, but this time, the detective had the upper hand. Every time I see the name Sasayama, I think of that one elder dude in Link to the Past, Sahasrara or whatever. however you would pronounce that name. It's a very weird reference. He got a grip on Al Karawan's neck and kneed him repeatedly. Al Karawan tried desperately to bring Sasayama to the ground, but Sasayama braced himself and avoided the takedown. Then he shifted his stance and took Al Karawan to the pavement with his spectacular hip throw. Hip throw, yes! Kano clapped his hands together in excitement. Catching the perp in a scarf hold, Sasayama got out his handcuffs. The technique in judo involves wrapping an arm around the opponent's neck while performing an upper body pin. Stanley, we should head to the scene, Connor said. He looked away from the monitor for a mere moment, and when he looked back, Sasayama had released his hold and crumbled to the ground. What? Panicked, Connor stared at the image of his friend. Fucking dead. There was something jutting up from Sasayama's abdomen. Oh shit, it's a knife. Zoom in! Enhance! Kano cried frantically. The camera closed in on Sasayama. Now Kano could see exactly what he feared. Sasayama had been stabbed in the gut. Blood pooled on the pavement around him. Kano screamed, Sasayama! The camera showed several other detectives arriving at the scene, capturing Al Karawan before he could escape. But Sasayama laid motionless. The pool of blood around him spread further and further across the pavement. Unable to look any longer, Kano rushed from the surveillance room. Oh no! Well, that's no good. I don't want Sasayama to die. I like Sasayama. Alright, that's 3 to be continued. Just Minorikawa and Asawa. What is going on here? I think we can finish up Asawa first and then we'll go Minorikawa. I'm gonna try to decongest really quick. It probably will be a fruitless attempt, but just for the sake of having to read, I'll try. So I'll be back. Give me like 2 minutes here. We'll probably go for another like hour to an hour and 20 minutes. Just so you know. So give me like a minute or two here real quick. Yeah, the congestion just spraying on me. My body's failing. Doesn't make for a fun reading time. What? Asal was so startled that his voice caught in his throat. What are you talking about? The antiviral research was top secret. So how did some detective from the Shibuya precinct know about it? Asawa was bewildered. I'm the one asking the questions here, Mr. Asawa. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter Hitomi? I'm not sure I understand the question. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Asawa. Asawa's mind went blank when he heard what Kano said next. He could give no reply. Mr. Asawa? The detective continued after a moment. Is everything alright? Without really thinking, Asawa hung up. Asawa staggered out of the living room. He needed to be alone. To his surprise, Kajiwara didn't try to stop him. Stop. Pills. Eesh. Shutting his study door behind him, he dropped onto his sofa and grabbed 3 times his normal dosage of stomach pills. Yes. The Tums. There was no water in the room, so he had to swallow them dry. Detective Connor's words echoed in his mind. I know what the syndicate is really after, Mr. Sawa. It's Tomi. There was only one reason they could be after Tomi. He broke out into a cold sweat as he began to understand what this kidnapping was really about. It all started 6 days earlier. Flashback. It was April 22nd. Sawa had just returned from the United States the day before. He was in the midst of some routine work at the General Research Lab when his cell phone rang. The LCD display showed an unlisted caller. With some hesitation, Asawa picked up. Hello? Nice white room there. Is this Kenji Asawa? The caller was using a voice modulator. Oh. Is this Kenji Asawa? It's a type of device or software used to make one's voice sound different, changing a voice to the point of making a voice print, or tone analysis impossible presents a major challenge. To be able to do so in real time requires major financial and technological resources. Asawa raised an eyebrow. Yes? Bear. Go and analyze Tomi's blood. Her blood? If you don't, she's going to die. With that, the caller hung up. There was an intensity behind this that made Asawa sure it wasn't just some prank call. He had Tomi come into the lab ASAP. He told Hitomi he wanted a sample of her blood for an experiment. She agreed, suspecting nothing. He placed some of the blood he'd drawn into a glass slide, then added some fluorescein, a type of fluorescent dye. A yellow-green liquid, a type of fluorescent dye, chiefly... Uh-oh, now we got the hiccups coming. Everything is against me tonight. Terrible. Massive apologies still. Chiefly used in preparing specimens for viewing under a fluorescent microscope, but it has other uses as well, such as a diagnostic reagent administered in eye exams. Its highest volume use is on St. Patrick's Day, when massive amounts of fluorescein are used to dye the Chicago River green. Cool fact, cool fact. Type of dye that causes the dyed substance to emit higher wavelength fluorescent light when illuminated with a certain other type of light. Such dyes can reveal fine details when used on specimens viewing through a fluorescent microscope. Placed on the slide under fluorescence microscope, he took a look. Can't be. Saul could hardly believe his eyes. Red! Wriggling under the microscope was the Grim Reaper's sickle itself. There was no mistaking it. Hitomi was infected with the virus. Trembling, Asawa hurried to his computer. He opened the virus folder on his monitor. Within were images showing the stages of the virus's propagation. He double-clicked to magnify the first image. The Reaper's sickles were interlocked with one another. He clicked on the next image. After further propagation, the virus looked less like a sickle, more of a sort of insectoid larva. Ew, I don't like how it's like moving. Next was the final image. Interlocked into a single mass, the virus vaguely resembled a sinister, many-petaled sunflower. Okay. It took a mere 12 hours for the pathogen to develop to this point and begin its hideous destruction of the human body. Hitomi's infection sample was still in the slate shown in the first image. There was still a chance to save her. Asawa slumped back in his chair, huddling in on himself. He had no choice. There's only one way to save Hitomi. He would have to administer the nearly completed antiviral. Using the antiviral without official approval was a grievous violation of company policy. Acting against company rules and regulations, Akoshi Pharmaceutical prohibits leaking work-related information to outsiders. In the case of major violation, not only can the violator be fired, but the company may also seek indemnities. Still, Asawa didn't have time to get the higher-ups to approve a clinical trial. He might be punished severely for it, but this was his only option. His daughter's life was at stake. But there was also another even bigger hurdle in his way. The antiviral drug was stored in the deepest recess of the biochemical research building. A high-intensity X-ray scanner was set at the entrance to the storage area. This made it impossible for him to take research materials out. This type of radiation, also referred to as Roentgen rays, with a shorter wavelength than UV light, but a longer wavelength than gamma rays. Because X-rays can penetrate many objects with little absorption or scattering, they can be used to create images of internal structure. Hospitals, for example, use X-ray technology to examine the insides of patients' bodies, while security personnel use it to scan luggage at airports and to search for bombs. Well, if you couldn't get the antiviral out of there, you just have to bring Hitomi in. A course of action quickly took shape in his mind. First, he needed to slip out of the general research building. He would then head to the biochemical research facility and show his ID card to the guard at the front gate. Identification card, of course. Many facilities that carry out highly classified research assign different levels of security clearance to individual researchers, and only those with suitable clearance, as indicated by their ID cards, are admitted to restricted areas. Development of more advanced technology such as electronic ID tags or replacing older barcode type entry cards. Great. Whoa, whoa, what is this? Whoa, whoa, whoa! After passing through a lobby under the watchful gaze of several security cameras, he'd reach an elevator at the end of the hall that went directly to the storage section. This elevator required an ID card scan to operate. Okay. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Also, this drumming tribal music. Take about 20 seconds to get down to the first basement level and arrive at the entrance to the storage area. Finding an excuse to get Hitomi that far ought to be doable. If the security guard got suspicious, Asawa could say it was for a top-secret hematology experiment. The guard would probably believe him. The problem was what came after. Getting into the storage area itself required fingerprint authentication from both Asawa and Tanaka. This meant that he couldn't possibly get to the antiviral without Tanaka's cooperation. Desperate with uncertainty, Asawa called up Tanaka. He frantically explained the situation. Understood, Tanaka replied. We need to get her this drug as soon as possible. If the company finds out about this, you'll be held accountable for violation of corporate policy along with me. Are you sure you're okay with that? What are you talking about? Tomi's life is more important than company policy. Tanaka spoke without hesitation. Asawa felt an immense surge of gratitude for his assistant. And I have to say, I'm deeply moved by your determination, Tanaka added. Moved? Whatever for? You really are worried about it, Tomi. Asawa's gratitude faded. What are you talking about? Of course I am. My apologies. It's just that putting your career on the line for something so personal is... It's what? It's not like me? No, well, yes. I'm sorry. Now Tanaka's voice was colored with embarrassment. Just what sort of person do you think I am? Asawa resisted the urge to ask the question out loud. A short time later, Asawa and Tanaka stood before the door to the secure storage area. The security guard had let them in without the slightest suspicion. Asawa pressed his index finger to the fingerprint scanner first. Boop! Accepted. He realized he'd been holding his breath as his authorization finally went through. Half a moment later, Tanaka touched his own finger to the scanner plate. Boop! Accepted. The lock released with an audible clang, and the heavy door opened. Drumming got louder. Asawa hurried to retrieve the antiviral. As he picked up a small vial, he had a sudden realization. They were finally going to use the drug in a human test. His fatherly wish to cure Tomi was overlaid by an intense rush of curiosity. The researchers' drive to discover his results. Hurry! I need to hurry! I need to administer the antiviral as soon as possible. Asawa could hardly fend off his excitement. Over the course of the next few hours following the injection, the virus would be eradicated from Tomi's body. There had been some fever and cramping as temporary side effects, but the DDS had done a spectacular job of stomping out the virus. Drug delivery system, also known as smart drug delivery, the ability to target a specific region of the body with a specific drug, has momentous implications for the future of medicine. DDS technology is currently being tested extensively around the world. In saving his daughter's life, Asawa had proven the value of his research. If he had been asked which made him happier, he would have been hard-pressed to give an answer. Afterwards, he asked Tomi where she could have become infected, but she had no idea. He explained the need for secrecy and strictly forbade her telling anyone else what had happened. Now a week had passed since Asawa gave the drug to Tomi. He'd been conducting checks and had discovered that the DDS had not broken down but remained in Tomi's bloodstream. Extracting the DDS was a simple matter, requiring just a small blood sample from around the nape of the neck. The DDS tends to linger in the nape of the neck because of the lymph nodes located there. These lymph nodes identify viruses and invade the body's foreign substance to be attacked. They are not always able to overcome particularly powerful pathogens. In such cases, the virus propagates rapidly inside of them. Once the patient has been treated, the antiviral will seek out the virus and accumulate there as well. The DDS itself was simply the delivery system for the antiviral drug. Residual amounts of the antiviral itself stayed behind within cells. We're learning here, the materials used to create the DDS must, as a matter of course, cause minimal or no harm to the human body. Ideally, rather than accumulate inside the body, DDS substances should be either digested and absorbed or excreted. Because the antiviral must remain in the body for as long as the virus is active, however, a very careful balance must be struck between persistence and dissipation. Using the DDS, it is possible to extract those minuscule amounts from cells in a blood sample. It might take considerable time, but a sufficiently detailed analysis could allow for the antiviral drug itself to be reconstructed. Sawa felt a chill as he contemplated the situation. The kidnappers had known how tough security was at the lab, so they'd come up with the idea of using a human vessel to get what they needed from within. By infecting Atomi with the UA virus, they'd ensured that she'd receive the antiviral, that she'd have it in her blood. Tanaka was working with the kidnappers. That explained why he'd been so cooperative about the fingerprint scanner. Damn it, Sawa shouted. He clutched his head in his hands. Tanaka had been his partner and trusted confidant for years. Sawa refused to believe he'd been betrayed like this. Ding dong, ding dong. The front door chime sounded. Mr. Sawa, Kajiwara called out. It appears you have a visitor. Could you handle that? Who could it possibly be? Now of all times. Sure. Alright. With a sigh, Sawa dragged himself to his feet. He stumbled warily back to the living room, where the investigators were staring at the intercom monitor with concern. The intercom's hidden camera showed a man with an unsettling grin posed intimidatingly outside the front gate. Sawa didn't recognize him. Yes? Who is it? He asked guardedly through the intercom. It's Minorikawa. Where might I know you from, Mr. Minorikawa? Oh, you know, here and there. I mean, there's only one Minorikawa, really. Are you playing games with me? I don't have time for that. Please. Just open up. There's no way I'm letting you in, Sawa said. But the nonsensical badgering continued. Look, just hold your horses. I'm here for an interview. You got that? An interview? That's right. It's a piece for the 4-star General Gossip. The name of the magazine brought up an unpleasant memory. Yeah, it's very unpleasant. That was the gossip rag that had run the article about his political marriage. Wait, this is for one of those kinds of articles? What do you mean, those kinds of articles? I'm just looking for an interview. The man's tone was both high-handed and belligerent. Like hell you are. I'm not talking to anyone from the gossip. You're not the one I'm here to talk to. I want to interview your twin daughters. My daughters? I understand they won a shared prize for a beauty contest at Midoriyama Academy. If you wouldn't mind my interviewing them, I... Boop. Furious, Sawa cut off the intercom. This was no time for the indulging someone else's nonsense. Hey, what gives? The man was shouting so loud his voice carried past the gate and through the front door. I'm begging out here. On my hands and knees. Nice point. He wasn't actually on his hands and knees, so I could see that clearly through the intercom monitor. If your daughters aren't home, can you at least tell them I want to get in touch with them? Mr. Asawa, Kajiwara said, frowning. This isn't a good time to have someone drawing attention to your home. Alright, I'll get rid of him. Asawa hurried out the house, confronting Minorikawa through the front gate. The journalist had that tenacious look that immediately marked him as a member of the media. Give me your business card, Asawa said. I'll have them get in touch with you later. He took Minorikawa's card, then went right back inside. Back in his study, Sawa tossed Minorikawa's business card into the trash. Unable to think of what else to do, he tried the internet fortune teller again. He got the same, you're a very work-minded person result a second time. That's that. It's the Spyro music again. If you don't get over your indifference to the world might start to harbor quite a grudge. My indifference to the world around me, huh? The truth was that even with his closest companions, even with Tanaka, for instance, his relationship had always been strictly a matter of business. He'd never really taken it upon himself to get to know Tanaka as a person, and that was pretty much the case for everyone he knew. He harbored no interest in other people. He had no concern for his fellow men. That had made itself abundantly clear when he received a microscope as a birthday present way back in his first grade. Even now, he still remembered the shock he'd felt when he looked through the lens for the first time. He discovered a new, almost infinite world hidden in the midst of one he'd always thought was too small. By comparison, the real world seemed bland and ugly. Wherever he looked, wherever he went, he had to contend with tedium. It hadn't taken long for him to become more charmed by the world under his microscope than the one around him. It was like a calm, quiet little seaside, a beach where he could just sit and stare out at the waves. He wanted to stay immersed in that world forever and ever. Before he knew it, he was an adult, and then a husband, and then a father. The people around him thought him an odd fellow, but he hadn't let that change the way he lived his life. And this, now, was the result. He hadn't been betrayed by Tanaka. He didn't know Tanaka well enough for that. Find a way to connect more deeply with the people around you and start living a better life before it's too late. Just do that, and you're sure to have a wonderful future ahead. Asawa picked up his cell phone and dialed Tanaka's number. I had tried calling him repeatedly and hadn't gotten through. It was doubtful that he'd pick up. Still, Asawa had to try. The phone rang several times. He listened grimly to the empty mechanical sound, preparing himself for disappointment. What is it? Tanaka's voice sounded coldly in Asawa's ear. The tension was electric. Damn! Really? 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 Keep out at 12:35. Alright. Then we're jumping into Minorikawa. Okay, I'm gonna try to decongest again really quick. I think we'll be able to at least finish this hour tonight. Be right back, give me another minute here. My body doesn't want me to read. Alright, we go into here. Minorikawa. He had to make a choice. I guess we'll do A. He decided to wait a little bit longer. Just 5 more minutes. Suddenly a man's voice came through the intercom. Yes? Who is it? He sounded rather guarded. It's Minorikawa. Where might I know you from, Mr. Minorikawa? Oh, you know, here and there. I mean, there's only one Minorikawa, really. Are you playing some games with me? I don't have the time for that. Please, just open up. There's no way I'm letting you in. This discussion was getting them nowhere. Minorikawa decided he'd have to take the direct approach. Look, just hold your horses. I'm here for an interview. You got that? An interview? He'd taken the bait. Most folks could hardly resist the word interview. That's right. It's a piece for the 4-star general gossip. Wait, this is for one of those kinds of articles? The man sounded angry now. What do you mean, those kinds of articles? I'm just looking for an interview. Like hell you are. I'm not talking to anyone from the gossip. You're not the one I'm here to talk to. I just want to interview your twin daughters. My daughters? No parent would deny their children a chance for word of their achievements to spread. I understand they want a shared prize for a beauty contest at Midoriyama Academy. If you wouldn't mind my interviewing them, The intercom cut off before Minorikawa could finish. Hey, what gives? I'm begging out here, on my hands and knees. He wasn't actually on his hands and knees, but whoever was on the other end couldn't see that. Great. If your daughters aren't home, can you at least tell them I want to get in touch with them? He wasn't even using the intercom now. He was just shouting over the gate. How does he not think that that has a camera? I mean, even back in like 2008, I'd assume those were pretty common. A man stepped out of the front door. Give me your business card, he said. I'll have them get in touch with you later. The man had a somewhat stricken look on his face. This had to be Kenji Asawa then. Wait, hold on. Asawa? Now Minorikawa recognized him. This was Kenji Asawa, the preeminent virologist who worked for Akoshi Pharmaceutical. 4-star general gossip had run a scandalous article on him in the past. Minorikawa remembered reading it. He held out his business card, and Asawa snatched it from him. The virologist started to head back into his house. Please see that they get back to me, Mr. Asawa, Mr. Minorikawa shouted after him, and then he noticed something odd. It was the middle of the afternoon, but every window in the house had its curtains drawn. That, combined with Asawa's demeanor, set off alarm bells in Minorikawa's head. He knew he was on to something, but he couldn't linger at the Asawa residence any longer than he already had. He needed to get to that theater ASAP. He hurried back to the taxi and told Kimizuka to go. Go. A few minutes later, the rear tire skidded sharply as the cab came to a stop beside a different curb. The trip from Shoto to the theater in Sakuragaoka had taken almost no time at all. Here we are, sir, Kimizuka announced. Wow, that was fast. Still, Minorikawa was at least 5 minutes behind schedule. He hoped he'd still be able to get the interview with Orai. Damn, what? Where does that keep out from? No. Is it from here? It's the only thing. We'll find out. I guess so. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Norikawa got his wallet out of his jacket to pay the driver. Oh, no, Kimizuka said, waving a hand. Don't worry about the fare. Huh? Why not? There's still plenty left over from what you paid me earlier, sir. That's what I meant by special fare. That's right, you paid Kimizuka a whole 10,000 yen for taking him to Endo Electronics earlier. But, I mean, I'm not the sort of person to keep the change, as it were, Kimizuka said. Norikawa felt a surge of pride at these words. You're my kind of guy, Mr. Kimizuka. A man on the job can always count on Hachiro Kimizuka's taxi, the driver grinned. Now go on, go. Thank you. I have a feeling we'll meet again. Good cab driver guy. Spoiler alert, watch him be behind everything bad in the game. Calling it now. As Minorukawa entered the theater lobby, he saw a bunch of flower bouquets, patron gifts of appreciation. Among the names of the senders were celebrities he recognized. The largest of the bouquets was sent by Koichi Nakamura of the secret society Chunsoft. The next largest came from Marutaru Ishihara from the government organization Juryart. Following that were those from actress Barako Rose, popular scenario writer Bisu Ippon Matsu, Tohoku Bus Tours Co. Limited, bus guide Kamiko Amo, professional baseball player Masa Narikiyo, the ventriloquist Shinshin, ukulele player Hawaii Matsuda, online TV critic Genzo Akitsu, and so on. Just flexing the poor Japanese pronunciation skills that I have there. It's great. It's great. Evidently, the Wandering Angels were a pretty popular action troupe. Episode 4. Novice actor Takuya Amo, despite his nervousness, gave a credible performance as Shido as the production got underway. But as the show continued, his inexperience became apparent. He went on stage for the big wire action scene, having forgotten to attach himself to the rigging. Tezuka was quick to act, rushing on stage in the improvised role of assassin with an Edo accent #1 and fixing a rope to Amo's back during the confusion. Continued in episode 5. People were setting out pamphlets and flyers out on the nearby table. There was a palpable tension in the air. The crew seemed skittish as they went about their work. "He's late!" someone shouted out all of a sudden. There was a man over in one corner of the lobby, railing angrily to nobody in particular. Why the hell hasn't that journalist shown up yet for the interview? Looked like he'd been waiting on Minorukawa then. Let's look at this guy. What's his deal? Pulling this while we're this busy. Yeah, guess that's Shinosuke Orai. I've been busy myself, Minorukawa said, keeping his composure. Trust me, I know how it goes. Huh? Who the hell are you? I'm the guy you've been waiting for, Mr. Orai. The man glared at him. It's Orai, he said. I fucking know. Anyway, I'm Minorukawa. Sorry to keep you waiting. Though really, a short wait is a small price to pay for the chance to be interviewed by me. Well, I hope you appreciate how valuable my time is, now that you're taking it, snapped Orai. Wow, someone sure has a high opinion of himself, Minorukawa replied. He marched up to Orai. Damn right I do. I'm Shinosuke Orai. The theater man got right up in Minorukawa's face. Like anyone even cares. A jolt of tension sparked between the two men. Around this time, there's a similar jolt of tension between two other people, Kenji Osawa and Mamoru Tanaka. Probably will need that later. I beg your pardon, a woman interrupted, but Mr. Orai does have a schedule to keep. And who are you, miss? Sokuzawa. I'm the producer. Well, listen, Sue. I'm in the middle of an interview here. Please don't interrupt. What? That's how you conduct an interview? That's right. This is how I roll. Look, whatever. Orai growled. Let's just do this already. Fine by me. The two men sat down at opposite sides of the table in the lobby. But Sakozawa spoke up again. Mr. Orai, don't forget the meeting you have after this. Yeah, handle that, would you? Minorukawa let out a derisive snort. It's like you're holding court, she said. people actually hang around you with that kind of attitude? You have no right to judge my acting troupe. Norikawa straightened up in his chair, a mocking smile on his lips. Oh, so it's your acting troupe, huh? He said. Why not just play all the roles yourself? Heck, you could even be your own audience. How dare you? Orai rose to his feet and made to leave. But Sakuzawa hurried him back down into his chair. Norikawa continued as if he hadn't heard. Just what is it that you do anyway? He asked. Orai raised an incredulous eyebrow. You don't know? No, why should I? You came to an interview without knowing anything about who you were interviewing. Yep. That's it, get out! Orai roared and pointed angrily toward the exit. How dare an unmannered clod like you come in here and waste my time? Hey, who's been unmannered now? I came all the way out here to hear your story, didn't I? Why don't you get out? Norikawa pointed at the exit as well. Oh, they're having a point off. Why the hell should I have to leave? Orai demanded. This is my house. Theater jargon for the theater itself, especially the main auditorium. Nice. Look, just get out. This time both yelled and pointed toward the exit in unison. Sakuzawa quickly interposed herself between them, forcing a smile. Gentlemen, please, calm down, she said. Then she turned him to Norikawa. You should be aware that Mr. Orai used to be a broadcast writer. Someone who writes for television or radio programs. A great show depends not only on the actor's performances, but on the skills of the broadcast writer. He's responsible for a lot of big hits. You don't need to mention that, Orai grumbled. Nonetheless, Sakuzawa rattled off the names of several shows. Checking the time thing there. Okay, Norikawa did indeed recognize many of them. He murmured. So, how come you're running a failing theater now? Failing? Orai went red in the face. I'm not wrong, am I? You are absolutely the rudest person I've ever met. What would a rank amateur like yourself know about theater? Orai's face was dark with rage. But Norikawa did back down. Listen, this has nothing to do with how well your theater is or isn't doing, he snapped. The television world wouldn't accept you, so in order to retain your pride as an entertainer, you started doing theater. Isn't that so? Don't act like you know anything. I've stalked my entire life on this theater. Staked! Even. It seemed as if Orai might throw a punch at any moment. Sure, a city theater might seem small time compared to TV, but you get a lot more response from it. Response? Oh, now that sounds interesting. Darn right, Orai exclaimed. You can see it from up on stage. The audience, you can see their faces. There was a passion in Orai's voice now. You can really feel it. When the audience is enjoying themselves, you can feel that energy. You can't get that from doing television. To get back on it now, my time spent working on TV. Let's see, what's a good analogy? It's like being handed a towel that's already damp. No, that's not right. Okay, so a better analogy would be, and without further preamble, Orai began talking about his tribulations back in his broadcast writer days. Norikawa smiled inwardly. He got him. He got him. Norikawa strikes again. The interview ended promptly after 15 minutes, the time that had been promised. Both men emerged from it as if from a daze. Norikawa found himself staring Orai in the face, shaking him by the hand. So, what kind of story did I just get? He asked, speaking half to himself. You heard about one man and his life, and I have to admit, it was a good interview. Thanks. You have my gratitude. With a satisfied smile, Norikawa closed his notebook. Right. Glad to hear that then. Orai inclined his head, looking a bit bewildered. A flustered Sakuzawa interrupted. Mr. Norikawa, wasn't this interview for a piece about the performance? Huh? Norikawa blinked. It's just that you were only asking about Mr. Orai, and not about the performance itself, Sakuzawa said. Oh, I see what you mean. Actually, I came here for a piece I'm going to be writing called Where are they now? Washed up broadcast writer showcase. Washed up. Ori was red in the face all over again. You bastard, how dare you? Forget everything I just told you. I do not give you my permission to use it in your magazine. You're too late. What? I've already heard your whole story. You should be grateful that I'll be writing a piece on it. You bastard! Bastard. With a wild look in his eyes, Ori snatched up a hammer the stage crew had left nearby. Do it. Go ahead, hit me! Oh, I'll hit you alright. Ori waved the hammer menacingly. But the attack came to a sudden halt as a ringtone startled him out of his fury. Hold on a moment, Norikawa said brightly. I have to take this. He whipped out his cell phone. Hello? Norikawa speaking. This is Asawa. Wow, you called back a lot sooner than Norikawa had expected. Have your daughters come home then? No. Actually, there's a favor I'd like to ask you. A favor? Norikawa thought back to his visit to the Asawa residence. The drawn curtains, the stricken look on Asawa's face. Norikawa's instincts had sensed something significant going on. Apparently, getting the full story wasn't going to come without some cost. A favor, huh? Is it something urgent? I'll pay whatever I have to. I just need you to look into something as quickly as possible. His voice had the telltale desperation of a man who'd been backed into a corner. Alright, Norikawa said. I can help you out for a little while. Sawa hurriedly explained what he was after. The request was a strange one. He wanted Norikawa to look into a scandalous article that 4-star general gossip had run about him in the past. What makes this so important? Do I have to say? I mean, you're asking me to look into something without explaining anything. He eyed Ori, lurking nearby with obvious irritation. Norikawa would need to calm down the erstwhile broadcast writer, or else his interview really would be for naught. He decided to bluff both men at the same time. Let me just say one thing, he said into the phone. He made sure he spoke loud and clear so that Ori would overhear. I want to tell the world this story. No, I need to tell it. If I don't feel that way about something, no amount of money in the world will get me to write an article on it. That's my pride as a writer at work. Oh, Norikawa. Norikawa could see Ori's aura of rage fading as he listened. The theater man looked surprised. Oof. Meanwhile, Sawa had decided to open up a bit. Alright, he said. I can't share all the details, but... Okay, he's in a talkative mood now. Good job, Norikawa. See, it's going fine. The power balance of the entire world might be at stake here, Sawa continued. And I mean that quite literally. I could tell you more after you're done investigating. Wait, was he serious? How could the world's balance of power hinge on looking into some alleged marital affairs? It was so absurd that Norikawa had to fight the urge to burst out laughing. A person would need to be out of his mind to believe a story like that. But Norikawa wasn't the average person. And sometimes the truth was so ridiculous, it really was stranger than fiction. Asawa wasn't lying. Norikawa's instincts told him that much. Alright, he said. I'll check the editing department's notes from back then. Norikawa felt his excitement building. Things were really getting interesting. For the moment, he nearly forgot Toyama and his troubles. Sorry about that, I'm dying over here. I'm blowing my nose and making sure I'm muting the mic so it doesn't sound terrible. I'm just trying to finish this chapter without dying. It's terrible. When he ended the call, Ori approached him and extended his hand. Listen, your methods might be a little extreme, but I can tell you take pride in your work. Of course I do. I'm sorry for getting so worked up. I bet you'd write a fine article about me. So please, Mr. Norikawa, let the world know about me and my half-lived life. Norikawa took the offered hand and shook it. Leave it to me. Once I'm done with it, you won't just be some washed-up nobody anymore, Mr. Ori. It's Ori. Norikawa grinned. Run! Norikawa rushed out of the theater. He'd completed all the interviews that he could get done before 4 o'clock. Now he had an hour left to write it all up to convince folks from the loan company that the gossip could stay afloat. He let out a roar, psyching himself up for the final push. Quite the psycho. Yeah. Another hour done. Or another storyline done. We just got Asawa here now. I think we jump here. Her. And I assume this will be it to the end of the hour. Just this last bit of Asawa. That's what it seems. No, the hiccups are coming back. Dying. Asawa picked up his cell phone and dialed Tanaka's number. The phone rang several times. He listened grimly to the empty mechanical sound, preparing himself for disappointment. What is it? Tanaka's voice sounded coldly in Asawa's ear. The tension was electric. Asawa felt a surge of outrage. He wanted to scream, but he took a deep breath and managed to maintain control. Tanaka? Where are you? Is Maria alright? Tanaka did not reply. The police told me. They said you were connected to the kidnapping. A soft chuckle came from the other end of the line. Ah, well, we sure do know how to do their jobs. Tanaka's tone was unapologetic. He sounded nothing like the man Asawa thought he knew so well. Why would you do this? Money? Are you having money troubles? Money? Tanaka replied. I suppose that's part of it. Honestly, I doubt you'd understand. Do you have any idea what it's been like for me, doing our research together? You're always the one who takes center stage. The fruits of our success are all yours, even though you couldn't have done any of it without me. The more he said, the more vitriol seethed into his words. I saw his hand trembled as he clutched the phone. The taker can never understand how it feels to be taken from. You've hoarded so many things to yourself, so I'm taking some of them back. Damn. And with that, he hung up. Hey, Tanaka! Asawa dialed the number again, but Tanaka didn't pick up. Asawa racked his brain, thinking back on how Tanaka had been acting earlier that day. Had there been anything unusual? Any clue at all, no matter how small? If he could find some hint, maybe he'd be able to find Maria and Hitomi. That was it. I had been suspicious of Tanaka all along, so much so that she'd planted a bug on him, hidden in a tie clip. Her suspicion must have been pretty strong. Wait, Asawa recalled what Kajiwara had said. But still, if she is that worried, giving a tie clip as a gift is a bit... The words had struck Asawa as odd when he first heard them. I had never given him a tie clip. His heart gave a heavy throb in his chest. It couldn't be. No, it was impossible. That article from 4-Star General Gossip crept back into his mind. The article had talked about a man I had dated before she married Asawa. The man's identity was never revealed. Could it have been Tanaka? Damn! Holy shit! You've hoarded so many things to yourself, so I'm taking some of them back. Tanaka's cold words took on a new depth of meaning. Asawa felt the foundation of his life begin to crumble. Were Tanaka and I accomplices in all this? No. Wait. Just calm down. He couldn't let himself jump to conclusions. He needed to be more level-headed. Everything depended on it. If the two really were accomplices, why would I have planted a bug on Tanaka? What purpose would that serve? What could it mean? It was no use. Asawa couldn't think of how that made sense. First things first, he needed to establish what the relationship between I and Tanaka really was. Once he figured that out, he'd be able to get a better handle on the situation. Obviously, he couldn't just go and ask I directly. If she really were involved in all this, she certainly wouldn't tell him the truth. Asawa thought back to the business card he'd tossed into the trash. He didn't relish the thought of getting help from the scavenging hyena, but now was no time to be picky. If he wasn't able to leave the house, he needed someone else to do some investigating for him. The freelance writer, Minoru Minorikawa. He was Asawa's only hope. To be continued! Oh, we don't even get to see the conversation from his side. Okay. Hit me with the montage. And there we go. A new hour for us. $5:10, $5:30. These things are all happening at like weird hours or weird start times. The stories are parting ways. Alright, but that was good. It felt good to be back on stream, not gonna lie. After about a week break or whatever. It felt good. Still felt weird, as I said at the top of the stream. For sure. But yeah, it's a good Saturday night stream. There will probably be at least a stream tomorrow. I can't guarantee I'll be able to do the early morning stream, but if there is an early morning stream, it will for sure be Destroy All Humans 2. We might be able to finish that, see the conclusion to that game, and get the platinum, depending on how long I can go. If it is, you know, that morning stream does happen. If I don't do that morning stream, then there will for sure be a Sunday night stream of something. Probably not that game, though. And then if there is a morning stream, there's still a chance there would be a night stream, basically. Confusing, yes, I know. That's why the best way is to follow the channel and turn on notifications if you care, or follow me on Twitter at bubman14. I post when I go live and stuff most of the time, barring the weird exceptions. So yeah. So follows, yeah, are greatly appreciated. Immensely. You can catch past archived streams on the YouTube page. The address is youtube.com/thebubmanXIV. Links are in Twitch thing. If you're watching archived, you can go follow on Twitch, bubmanXIV. Twitter, like I said, is at bubmanXIV. And yeah, a little under 2 weeks for The Last of Us Part 2. You can watch my stream of The Last of Us from back in October. That's all archived, as I said. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm going to try not to die. Try not to hiccup myself to death. And try to do something about my ability to breathe through my nose. I hope you have a nice rest of your Saturday. And see you another day.